Shawna Martinez with Performance Team, and today we're talking about buyers and checks you need to write when you get in contract. So we work a lot with first-time home buyers. You probably hear that on most of our videos because we do. We love working with first-time home buyers, and it never fails. I will talk with buyers who previously were trying to work with another agent that for whatever reason they decided it wasn't a good fit. And then when I talk with them and I start speaking with them about what's gonna happen in a transaction at the beginning, because I try not to overload them, I always ask them, did you know as a buyer that you will cut 4 checks before you ever get to closing? And they just look at me. And they say, no, I did not know that. And they say, you know what's crazy is I've submitted offers with other agents or whatever the situation is, or I've talked to other agents, nobody's ever told me that. And I think it's super important people understand that, because it's not as easy as you submit an offer and they accept it and then you just show up at closing and you have time, those 30 days for all intents and purposes, to be able to have your funds. That's not how it works. So here's what I want buyers to understand is when you submit an offer and you get it accepted, there's gonna be 2 checks right up front you have to write. The first one is gonna be for your earnest deposit. Now, earnest deposit is just your way of saying how serious you are about the home. It goes to title, they hold those funds, and it does get cashed. So people ask me that too, like, is it a check they hold? No, that will go through your bank. So if you need to move funds around from maybe your savings to your checking, just make sure you do that before you write that check. And that has to be done within the first 3 days of the contract being executed. So if you were to sign, say today, day 1 would be tomorrow, you have 3 days. So you have tomorrow, the next day, and the next day to be able to get it to the title company. And you're gonna need to have about 1% to budget for that. So if you're buying a $300,000 house, easy, you're looking at $3,000 for your earnest deposit. And the good news is that is going to be a credit for you at closing. So you're going to have closing costs associated whenever you buy a home. So when you go to closing and they send you your report before you go to closing, and they say, oh, you have to bring $10,000 to closing. Well, just know that you already have $3,000 sitting there for you. So now guess what? You only have to bring $7,000. And I'm just using very loose terms here, just so you can kind of understand what I'm saying. The other check, at the same time you write your earnest check, you're also going to write your option check. If in the agreement, the contract that got accepted, you negotiated an option period, which I also always recommend that you do, you're gonna pay for that. And what that is basically it's your option to be able to decide whether or not you wanna move forward with the house. It is negotiated days in the contract. In a normal market, we would see anywhere from 7 to 10 days. Right now, we're seeing 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. I don't know how you can get an inspector in the first day, but the point of having the option period is so you have the option to back out or not, and you also have the right to have the inspection done at that time as well. You have to pay for that. It's like consideration for the seller to take it off the market while you decide whether or not you want to move forward with the property. And right now, in a normal market, before what we're seeing now, in a normal market, we would see 150 to 200, 250, depending on the price point of the home and the amount of days you're asking for. We're seeing people right now who are literally putting up thousands of dollars for option money. Why is that? Because the option money, if you decide you want to back out, you don't get that as a credit for you. So let me repeat that. The earnest check, the 1%, will be a credit for you at closing at the title company. Your option check, if you move forward after those agreed upon days for your option period are up and you go to closing, that's another credit for you sitting at closing. But what sellers are doing is they're saying, hey, listen, we're tired of these buyers just throwing numbers out there just to get their offer accepted, just to back out. So we're asking you to put your money where your mouth is. So instead of, $200 option fee, I had one the other day ask us for $1,000, and we have people who are putting up $5,000. And why is that? Because you're going to think twice before you back out if you have that much money up, because once you back out, that money goes to the seller. The third check you have to write, so the third check you have to write is gonna be for that inspector. So during your option period, you're gonna wanna have an inspection. I always preach have an inspection. That is for a third-party service. It gets wrote directly to the inspection company. So that does not get credited to you. That's a cost of service. And you're looking around $600 to $650 for that. So those are the first 3 checks, and those are gonna be wrote in the first 5-6 days of getting the first 2, the option and earnest, get wrote the first 3 days, and then your inspection check, of course, is going to be wrote when you have your inspection, which is going to be whatever your days are in your option period in your contract. But then once you get out of option, let's say everything goes perfectly, and you've made it through your option period, you've decided to move forward, and then you need to order an appraisal because you're getting a loan from a lender, and so you have to make sure that the home is gonna appraise for its value. Depending on the lender you work with, that's either a prepaid item or something you can pay at closing. If it's a prepaid item, again, it's gonna be the fourth check you're going to check, I say, but most of them can be done with debit cards and things like that and wires, but I just say checks because I'm old school. Although I'm still under 40, so does that make me old school? Anyway, so you're gonna pay for that, and that's around $500, give or take. And that's not gonna be a credit for you sitting at closing because, again, it's for a third-party service to come out and value the home and make sure that it's worth what you're getting a loan for, or it'll tell you how much you gotta come out of pocket. So if you are in the market to buy a home, you're a first-time home buyer, you need to work with an agent that works with first-time home buyers a lot. We actually have a first-time home buyer book, which walks you through the process because it can be a little overwhelming. I mean, what I just told you in this video is what I say in the first 2 minutes I talk to a buyer because it's super important. I don't want you to get into something and not have all the information. So contact me. We'd be happy to send you over that buyer book for you. It's free of charge, no obligation, no strings attached. I just want to make sure that you're informed so that you can make good decisions, because when you have the information, you can make decisions and you need to know the truth.